Good morning, friends. Today I would like to share my views on another important subject which is long pending in the Supreme Court, the issue relating to scheduled caste converts called Dalit Christians-Denial of SC status to them, and they suffer from double discrimination and alienation, which is very deplorable, and they deserve justice. My friends, on 30/4/2025, a Honorable Judge of High Court of AP set aside criminal proceedings under SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act, holding that the petitioner, though he belongs to scheduled caste, his choice of Christianity placed him outside the scheduled caste fold, and therefore the protection under SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act cannot be extended to him. And he cited the Clause 3 of the Constitution of Scheduled Caste Order 1950, a clause which denies SC recognition to anyone who does not profess Hinduism, Sikhism, or Buddhism. This particular provision was based on the Scheduled Caste Order 1936 under Government of India Act 1935 under British rule, which limited the category of SCs only to Hindus on the premise that untouchability was exclusive to the Hindu society. But later Parliament amended 1950 order to include Sikhs in the year 1956 and Buddhists in the 1990, and notably excluding Dalits or SCs who embraced Christian faith. Likewise, recently, a judge of Madras High Court on 8/4/2025 held that when a scheduled caste person voluntarily submit himself or herself for conducting marriage under Indian Christian Marriage Act, the person would be considered as a Christian and thereafter deemed to have been renounced their native religion and thus disqualified as an elected chairman of town panchayat. In this particular case, she was elected to the chairman of town panchayat to that post which was reserved for SC community. In both cases, here one thing we should remember that recently and of late, the socio-political and ideological background of the learned judges might have also been a factor in influencing such orders, but that is not an issue to be discussed here by me. In another hearing, another heartening incident, my friends, recently a tribal Christian in Chindwada village of Chhattisgarh Panchayat was not allowed to bury the dead body of his father in the burial ground of their caste, in which all his ancestors were buried, on the ground that he is a Christian. He took up the issue up to the doors of the Honorable Supreme Court, seeking justice while keeping the dead body there in the house, as his family was denied permission by Gram Panchayat, Taluk, and district administration, and even the state government, now ruled by the RSS-led BJP, and unfortunately even by the Chhattisgarh High Court, citing law and order problem, though the rights of STs are protected under the Constitution irrespective of their religion. Finally, the Honorable Apex Court Division Bench headed by Honorable Justice B.V. Nagaratna and Justice S.C. Sharma. Initially, the Honorable Justice B.V. Nagaratna expressed utter dismay and shock and reiterated the secular character of our nation and right to freedom of religion, and condemned the discrimination shown in this particular case, denying the burial ground to a tribal person who converted into Christianity. But the Justice Sharma endorsed the state government position, and by citing law and order problem. When there is a conflict of opinion naturally in between two judges in the normal course, it should have been referred to a third judge. But on 27/1/2025, the court did not accede the plea of the petitioner, but directed him to bury his father's dead body in a place 20 kilometers away from his village, giving directions to the state government and local administration to make arrangements for that. And unfortunately, he even was denied the opportunity to bury the dead body in his own field. It's not a burial ground meant for caste people, but in his own field also, he was not permitted. And at the same time, Honorable Justice B.V. Nagaratna, directed the state government to identify separate graveyards to the Christians. So these three incidents and judgments or orders once again brought to the fore the pathetic condition of Dalit and Adivasi converts in the Indian society, particularly the Dalit Christians. I will deal with the issue of Adivasi and tribal Christians separately. All these judgments are contrary to the judgments of various high courts, the apex court observations, factual findings and recommendations, and report of the National Commission for Religious and Linguistic Minorities, headed by none other than former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice Ranganath Mishra. And this commission was constituted by the central government, but not cited upon by the government for obvious reasons. In this case, finding and the commission found merit for granting scheduled caste status to the Dalits who had converted to Christianity on the ground that, basing on the empirical data mentioned in its report, that social stigma continued even after conversion. Accordingly, the Ranganath Mishra Commission has submitted a report recommending to include the scheduled caste converts into scheduled caste order 1950. The ground reality contradicts the conclusion drawn by now in the above three cases, the conclusion drawn by the Andhra and Madras High Court judges that Christianity does not recognize the caste, and as such, Dalits once converted will lose the protection as SCs. The legal website Livela reported that a March 2021 India Spend study that mirrored National Sample Survey microdata found no practical difference in the rates of poverty, landlessness, or exposure to manual scavenging, and the social discrimination and untouchability between Dalit Hindus and Dalit Christians. Likewise, the studies across show that the caste prejudice survives even within the church. Caste endures through social practice and not by scripture. It is common knowledge that in the episodes of violence across Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, UP and Odisha, and very recently in the northern states where BJP is ruling, the victims were attacked not because they were Christians, but because they were untouchables. They were scheduled caste people who converted into Christianity. In fact, the exclusion of Dalit Christians from 1950 order, which includes Dalit converts to Sikhism and Buddhism, is in clear violation of the Article 15 of the Constitution, which prohibits discrimination on the grounds of only of religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth. Yet, the 1950 order applied religion into the very definition of caste and linked the extension of protection to the religion, thereby forcing Dalit converts to choose between their faith and civil rights. As a result, they lose reservation and other protection, suffering double jeopardy. Therefore, many of them chooses to reconvert back to Hinduism, reclaiming Hindu status to restore their SC certificates and regain reservation and protection. Thus, a law meant to punish the discrimination is used to punish the honesty. In fact, there are judicial pronouncements of the Supreme Court prior to 2004 and even recently that a Dalit or a scheduled caste person will not lose his or her caste. In case of Kailas Sonkar versus Maya Devi, reported in AR 1984, Supreme Court 607, the apex court ruled that there is no loss of caste despite the fact that the citizen converts into different religion. Further, in case of Chaturbuji Vitaldas Jasani versus Moreshwar Parshuram, 1954, SC, Supreme Court, page 395, the Supreme Court held that the Supreme Court clarified and ruled that scheduled caste person won't lose his status even if he or she converts into different religion. Moreover, even recently in April 2023, in a case titled Gaji Sahabuddin versus State of Maharashtra, wherein the court was dealing with a bunch of petitions which seeks the extension of reservation benefits to SCs converted to Christianity or Islam, challenging their exclusion from 1950 order, while including the converts to Buddhism and Sikhism. A bench consisting of Honorable Judges S.K. Kaul, A. Amanullah, and Arvind Kumar, there was discussion as to whether SC persons continue to face social stigma even after converting to other religions. Taking into consideration the Ranganath Mishra Commission report and its study, Justice Amanullah observed that the Ranganath Mishra report is not that perfunctory, and further added that the social stigma and religious stigma are two different things. I may convert into different religion for very different purposes, but if social stigma continues, that is why reservations for scheduled caste. At the ground level, social stigma may continue even after conversion. We cannot shut our eyes. I have taken this source from Live Law articles dated 16/9 to 2022 and 12/4/2023. Then I am coming to legal challenges to the 1950 scheduled caste orders. Since 2004, starting from the petition filed by the Center for Public Interest Litigation, that is PIL versus Union of India 2004 case, National Council of Dalit Christians, NCDC 2007 case, several petitions were filed from time to time challenging the exclusion of Dalit Christians from SC list, contending that such exclusion is discriminatory and violative of fundamental rights, and 1950 scheduled caste order is totally unconstitutional. But due to political compulsions and religious hegemonic concerns, successive governments dodged the issue and the cases are yet to come up for final hearing. In the meantime, Ranganath Mishra Commission, after exhaustive inquiry, field study, collected data and categorically recommended to accord SC status to Dalit converts, stating that the reality on the ground have shown that caste discrimination persists even after conversions, and submitted its report to that effect in the year 2007. However, no successive government acted upon it positively with political consideration, and due to the pressure from right-wing political and communal groups who feared that this could lead to religious conversions in large scale, and also it could dilute the benefits of SC scheduled caste Hindus. On the face of it, the proviso clause 3 of the Constitution of Scheduled Caste Order 1950 is patently unconstitutional for excluding Dalit Christians from SC list, while including Dalit converts into Sikhism, Buddhism, as it is in violation of Article 14, right to equality, Article 15, prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth, and Article 25, freedom of religion. When number of public interest litigation petitions clubbed and came up for hearing, the central government got it adjourned on some pretext or the other and slept over Ranganath Mishra Commission report, either not by accepting it or rejecting it since 2007. When the flashpoint came in the year 2022, and when the Supreme Court directed the Modi government to file affidavit clarifying its stance on Ranganath Mishra Commission report and also on the inclusion of Dalit converts in Scheduled Caste 1950 order, finally it came into open and rejected the recommendations of the Ranganath Mishra Commission's report. It filed affidavit by the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, contending that the recommendations of the Commission are flawed, as the report was prepared without conducting the field study and did not reflect the ground situation, and the Commission has taken a myopic view of social environment in India and has not taken into account the effect of inclusion of Dalit Christians and would have on the present scheduled caste list, and as such it had not accepted the findings of the Commission. Further, with the intention to get the matters postponed and delayed, the Centre intentionally constituted another 3 members commission headed by former Chief Justice K.G. Balakrishnan to examine the issue of providing SC status to the people belonging to scheduled caste but converted into other religions in the year 2022, giving 3 years tenure to it to complete the task and submit a report. On that pretext, all public interest litigations are postponed and kept in cold storage. That is what happening then, kept in cold storage. And then this stand of the Modi government is very clear, going by the tone and tenor of its affidavit, that it is absolutely averse to the idea of inclusion of Dalit converts into SC list. and vehemently contended that the oppressive system of untouchability which leads to the social and economic backwardness of SCs in Hindu society was not prevalent in Christian and or Islamic society. But the truth is otherwise. With the constitution of the commission, the center successfully delayed the final adjudication of the contentious issue, forcing the Supreme Court to await for the report of the K.G. Balakrishnan Commission to examine and decide the possibility of granting SC status to Dalit Christians. The Commission's findings are tentatively expected by October 2025, and in such event, it will significantly influence the outcome of these cases which are kept pending before the Supreme Court. Since the caste system is a deep-rooted feature of the Indian society, and majority of Indians have a casteist mindset regardless of religion, mere change of religion cannot change the social status of a person. Since caste has become an inseparable limb of the society, this caste hierarchy is also present even in Christianity in India, and persons of SC origin were kept socially and economically segregated in most of the churches dominated by upper caste. In Indian social system, caste system, Dalits are placed at the bottom of the caste pyramid and called untouchables. As per Manusmriti, there are 4 varnas or castes born through Brahma, the creator. Brahmins from the head, Kshatriyas from the chest, Banyas or Vaishyas are from the stomach, and Shudras from the feet. Dalits are nowhere in this caste pyramid. Hence, they are called Panchamas or outcasts or untouchables. Over the last 4 to 5 centuries, thousands of Dalits joined Christianity in different Indian states, particularly in southern states, to escape from social oppression, responding to the gospel which rejects the caste. And these conversions were a religious and social decision of the community, as Baba Saheb Ambedkar renounced Hinduism and converted into Buddhism, condemning the vicious caste system and discrimination it perpetuated against scheduled caste people. But even after conversion into other religions, still they remain a part and parcel of Dalit community. This should be noted. Though they are converted into other religions, still they remain a part and parcel of their own community, their own caste, and continue to suffer same discrimination and untouchability in the society. It is common knowledge that about nearly 70% of Christians in India are from scheduled caste or Dalits or tribal communities, and all of them are generally found with their fellow Dalits, with their fellow caste people living in the outskirts or segregated places in the villages. Even after they are converted, their social status is not changed or improved in any manner. Though the Constitution of India prohibits caste discrimination and untouchability, they are suffering undeclared restrictions on par with fellow SC Hindus. On the other hand, they suffer double humiliation having Christian names, and on knowing their names, immediately the other caste person assumes that they are Dalits or scheduled caste or tribal people, as Dalits constitute bulk of Christian faith people notable in southern states, whereas a Dalit having different name will not be looked upon till his caste is verified or known. Though Article 15 of the Constitution mandates that states shall not impose any kind of discrimination on its citizens on the basis of religion, race, caste, or region, excluding Dalit Christians from SC Order 1950 is definitely a blatant violation of this constitutional mandate. This adversely affected them by denying them the freedom of religion, resulting into a blow to Dalit unity, dual identity, and double discrimination. In Indian church, though Dalit Christians constitutes majority, having been converted, believing the principles of brotherhood, equality, and salvation, etc., preached by gospels and missionaries, but in actual life, they are facing same age-old discrimination in the church, as well as most of the discrimination because the churches are dominated by upper caste. The caste distinctions in the society are carried over and exercised in the daily practice of ministers, priests of the church, and upper caste Christians, and manifested in different forms, like segregation in the churches during worships, separate burial grounds, and refusal of place or position in the church bodies which are controlled by upper caste Christians, subtle form of exclusion of Dalits into priesthood, so on and so forth. The upper caste and middle classes who dominate the churches and their educational and other institutions run by the churches take advantage for themselves to avail the provision of minority status and rights, neglecting the Dalit Christians altogether. Thus, the superiority complex and caste feelings of the upper caste church authorities is the prime cause for discrimination of Dalits in Christian faith and fold. Apart from this pitiable condition of Dalit Christians converts in the Christian churches, the discrimination shown by the fellow Dalits who remain in Hindu society is added to their woes. At the instigation of Manuvadi Brahmanical communal forces, Dalit Hindus are also show intolerance towards their Dalit Christians though they are blood relations and their real relations are within their fold. Though the most of the Dalit Christians reaction comes to the rescue of their fellow Dalit Hindus in the event of any attack or atrocity or suppression or discrimination perpetrated by caste Hindus, most of the Dalit Hindus will not reciprocate with the same spirit whenever Dalit Christians were targeted by communal hegemonic majoritarian forces being influenced by them. In the last decade, there have been numerous incidents of attacks, atrocities and against Dalit converts in various parts of the country, more particularly in northern and northeastern region states, where communal forces are ruling the roost with the covert and overt support of the ruling apparatus, forcing most of the Dalit or tribal community Christians to perform Garvapasi. Thus, on one hand, they are excluded from the constitutional protections such as reservations, freedom of religion and the laws like SC Prevention of Atrocities Act on the pretext that they are converted into Christianity, but suffers the same stigma on par with Dalit Hindus, Sikhs or Buddhists in the society. On the other hand, they are also suffering same caste stigma and discrimination in the Indian church dominated by upper caste. Added to this double jeopardy, fellow Dalit Hindus who won't stand by them at the instigation of casteist communal forces and hesitant to support them with wrong notion that they will cut into their quota of benefits though they are their own blood. Thus, Dalit Christians are dually alienated. They suffer caste discrimination in the society and the church. They are politically, socially, and are religiously unorganized lot and cannot become a pressure group to claim rights and practically deprived of power and wealth of the land. In effect, practically the Dalit Christians are entangled or caught up in the triangle oppression. Under the circumstances, their fight for justice is hanging in the balance as the power structure, social, political, religious, and administrative, and even the judicial structure is averse and not to so enthusiastic to respond to their appeals for equitable relief, in spite of the naked truth that their exclusion from SC Scheduled Caste Order 1950 is deliberate and violation of the foundational principles of the Indian Constitution, and as such, the batch cases which are pending and kept in the cold storage since 2004 without final adjudication or disposal on one pretext or the other, as the outcome is obviously will be in their favor if the vision of Baba Saheb Ambedkar as reflected in the preamble of the Constitution, that is the basic structure and fundamental rights of the Constitution, prevails over political and communal considerations. Let us hope that the incumbent Chief Justice, Honorable Justice B.R. Gawai, who affirmed his faith and allegiance to Baba Saheb Ambedkar ideology and the Constitution of India, will see that Dalit Christian cases or batch cases are taken up for expeditious disposal without any delay, notwithstanding the KG Balakrishnan Commission report. Then only we expect justice to Dalit Christians. I also appeal to all the Dalits, irrespective of their caste, subcaste or religion, whether they are Hindus, Buddhists or Christians or Jains, whatever may be the religion you adopt, please kindly be united and fight for the community as a whole to protect our constitutional rights and the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution drafted by Father of Indian nation, Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Jai Constitution.